an entire world is ready
for you to start your career teaching the path to wellness.
Mastering the science of mindfulness.
And the art of coaching.
To help clients achieve mental, emotional, and physical betterment of life.
Through movement,
nutrition,
recovery, and regeneration.
Because impacting one person impacts a family.
Impacting a family impacts a community.
And impacting a community impacts the world.
Become an NASM certified wellness coach.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Random Fit. I am Wendy Batts here with my co-host, Mr. Ken Miller. Ken, how are you today?
I'm good, Wendy. How are you?
I'm good. I got the double salute. I don't even know. Hey, boy. So, well, today's topic, we are actually going to talk about a topic that's off of a book called The 5 Love Languages. However, instead of talking about love itself, we're talking about love languages of fitness specifically. And I think it's going to be a fun episode because you communicate different. People take your communication, they perceive it differently. And there's certain things that you can do based on someone's love language, especially in the fitness industry, because we want everyone to love fitness, but we need to make sure we're speaking their language in order for them to do so and stay with it.
Right. And, fitness and again, from our perspective, we are taking this perspective as, multiple ways. One is personal trainers with clients. And when you have a personal trainer, strength coach relationship with a client or athlete, it is about relationships and it is about communication. And for me to get my message across to you, part of that is you being able to relay your message to me of what it is you want and need from me. So when I think about relationships that way, again, I think about with Gary Chapman in his book that I read. Oh gosh, Wendy, it's been years now, but I had to dust it off, pull it out, and just reading through some of the chapters, like, oh, okay, I remember when I read that the first time, because again, as relationships, not saying that you have to be, this doesn't have to be a significant other, spouse type of reason, which a lot of the 3 recommendations I had this book to me, I followed the rule, Wendy, that if a book has been recommended to you by 3 different sources, 3 different people, buy the book. There's a reason why it's in the conversation, and it's there. And the way I took it, it's just, how do I improve my quality of communication and relationship with the one that I love and those that are in my life. And then when you think about your relationship with your clients and those that you work with on a weekly, sometimes 2-3 times a week, right? You want to be able to communicate with them. So when it comes to fitness, how do we relate this from a fitness perspective? So yeah, I am very, very excited for what we're going to talk about today.
Well, and I actually had a client purchase the book for me, and I was like, wow, what are you saying here? But no, they were just talking about, this was before I was married, and they were talking to me about different love languages, and I found it fascinating. And so if you guys haven't had a chance to read the book, it's phenomenal. And to your point, Ken, it can be about, it is about relationships. And so it doesn't have to be, to your point, it doesn't have to be with your significant other or, whatever. It can be about relationships with everyone you come in contact with every single day. And so if you're a fitness enthusiast, or if you're really trying to get other people in your community involved into working out and trying to spread the message of how important fitness is in everyday life, I think it's important to kind of read through these love languages, because people respond differently to different things. And Ken and I were talking, we have different love languages. And I always say that he's like my work husband, because we spend so much time together. But it is important when you're building rapport or you're meeting new people to find out, things that interest them. And then also too, how they accept and respond to different types of touching, communication, specific words, and what really fits for them. So therefore you can continuously do that to keep everything on a positive, keep the relationship positive, because if not, it can go south fast.
Right. Or you just, there's, sometimes when you don't feel like you're clicking and like, what am I missing? It's like, I totally feel like, we weren't vibing this session, or or like, well, I thought you meant this, or, but they may have relayed the message or the thought to you some other way than you're attuned to receiving information. So if I know the way you communicate, Wendy, um, then if I kind of shift gears, get away from thinking about me and how I receive information versus you and how you're more receptive to information, not only do I need to look for those cues in you, but I also need to communicate in a way that you communicate best. And when it comes to fitness, because it is multifaceted as far as how it influences our life, how we perceive it being a part of our lives, it's really good to see how somebody needs to get that information from you when it comes to that. So how about we get to the first love language, being words of affirmation, Wendy, which, by the way, you look awesome today.
Oh, you know what? You're
But
incredible, and I'm
you,
so glad that you're my co-host. I mean, I don't know where I would be if I wasn't here with you. Same with our producer. I said that before we started.
Eric is awesome.
Yeah. So when we're talking about, words of affirmation, guys, we're really trying to think about positive feedback. People need to hear positive feedback. People want that cheerleader, like, you are doing amazing. The things that you're able to do now, and look where you started. It's almost trying to make sure that they're doing some self-reflection and keeping everything in a very positive spin of where they started and where they are. And I think it's really hard for people sometimes to think about someone's fitness journey, and that you need to be supportive and acknowledge and recognize and be, about someone's efforts into their journey, and then also the actions that they're taking each day or each week in order to hit specific goals, objectives, whatever it may be. That is so important. Not just, oh my gosh, have you lost weight? Because yes, it's positive if that's what you're trying to do. It's not positive if you're trying to gain muscle, but you're losing, body fat, and you look thinner and you're not looking like you're, that's not the ultimate goal. I think it's not really just about the results. It's really just really constantly providing the positive feedback, and really talking about their efforts more than just the end result.
Yeah. And
that can take a while.
that could, yeah. And, it's funny you say that, because I have a client who, when I first started with her, we just did a movement assessment, which one of the assessments, Wendy, is an overhead squat, right? Overhead squat, single leg squat. That was it. Then the rest of the session was just foam roll, stretching, some core work, things like that. But she said she was so sore the next day, right? She couldn't go down her stairs, right? I think we've all got, I mean, she was, and all we did was the assessment. So, and then now, she's lunging, she's doing step ups, she's doing weighted lunges, she's doing hex bar deadlifts. So from that vantage point, it's like, hey, look how far you've come. You have done so much since we started 2 years ago. If you think about the capacity of work, how vital you are in your exercise program, your biking and taking walks. So things like that, sometimes if you've been in the mix of working out and fitness for a while, it's easy to forget how far you've come, especially if you've lived a different life than what you live today. And sometimes just acknowledging that and verbalizing that, and recognizing, like you said, Wendy, it's the process, not the end result. Although, hey, when you hit your targets, when you hit your markers, perfect, awesome, great job, you've accomplished your goal. What's our next goal, right? But a lot of people need to hear, again, if that is their primary love language, is just affirm that, hey, you've been doing such an awesome job, a pat on the back, an atta girl, an atta boy, whatever it takes for them to realize, okay, someone's recognizing the work that I've been doing. And sometimes that's all you need.
Well, if you guys are just joining us, we're talking about the 5 love languages of fitness. And, this is a book, or this thought comes off a book that was by Gary Chapman titled The 5 Love Languages. And we've already talked about the first one, which is words of affirmation. And before we go to the second one, I will tell you that even a small text message can go so far. So
Yeah.
Ken and I often talk about our clients, but if you know of somebody that is starting a program and you send them that, you know what, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud that you're taking these steps, and you're really taking a hold of your life and your fitness and your health overall, that can go so far. Ken, you are amazing at that. You do that to me. You do that to my husband. You do that, I'm sure, with your clients. Just those little, nuggets every once in a while that you send or read in a text message from someone, it really does just make you kind of warm and fuzzy inside that somebody is acknowledging all the hard work you're putting into something. I know, man. I'm telling you. And I bring this up because Ken did this at Thanksgiving. He actually sent me a text message where I'm like, oh my gosh, this actually means so much to me. And I'm not technically, my love language isn't words of affirmation, but everyone should hear it. So just know that if you think your client might be in one language, sometimes, a combination of all five really can go a very, very long way. So number one, words of affirmation. Number two, this one to me, I know is your love language, Ken. This is, I think, should be everyone's in a way as well. But number two would be quality time. And, it's really doing things together, whether it's with your partner or your spouse or your family members. But if it's on the fitness side of it and you are, a buddy, so, you are working with someone, you meet every day for certain walks. You are the support system. I think it's important to really think about the quality time of spending with them, doing a warm up if they're at the gym, a cool down, maybe meeting for a post workout meal, or even just taking classes together. Anything that you can do to spend quality time with someone can go such a long way, because I think, for me, when I was in Arizona, I would have my clients meet me on Fridays and we would go and hike a mountain together. Like, it was a short mountain. Like, it would take us an hour, but I would have them meet at no charge, but it forced me to spend time and get to know them better. It was something physical, and so many people enjoyed it, and I opened it up to everyone, and the turnout was amazing. And the connections that we made is something that were second to none. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. And I think, well, because I do have a chance to work with a lot of golfers, in their performance, one of the best things there in having clients who golf is actually going out and golfing, for from a spending time standpoint. So, if you think, you're doing, even nine, again, when it comes to golfing, it doesn't have to be a full 18. So those examples you give, Wendy, there's varying degrees, and a lot of times, we're all time precious. So a shortened, abbreviated version of this, because time, who has time, right, to spend a couple hours doing this, a few hours doing that? But if you can spend a little bit of time in something that you share mutual interest in, like the game of golf, it could be even an example, instead of doing 18, maybe you have 9. But if you don't have 9, maybe you meet at the driving range, and maybe it's not so much about the driving range as it is you're meeting at the at the cafe that's at the golf course. So finding that common ground is pretty important. But again, this is one of those love languages that I know, in reflecting about, okay, well, who do I know that has this love language? Well, you mentioned, me, quality time's it, but I realized my son's got the same thing, because this is one of the ways you can figure out, okay, what is your love language? You listen to what they ask for, and what my son does is he doesn't ask for things. He goes, hey, Dad, can we do this? Can we go there? So he uses a lot of we stuff. So when it comes to we can, he just wants to be together. We could be just sitting in the front yard and he'll sit right next to me, right? So thinking about what he does, you have to listen to some of the cues to what their love language is. So when it comes to quality time, look for the words we, and that'll give you an understanding of, okay, they mean for us to be together.
And I think the key word is quality, not just time, because, if you're going to spend quality time, especially with my family, my son is the same way. Mom, can we go here? Mom, can we do this? Or Mom, will you play, monster trucks with me? Or can we go race? Now we're playing with the Polar Express because it's the holiday season. And so, it's very important to him. But, when you're thinking about just in general, Quality means put the phone down and really recognize and spend that time with that person, because it can really, it means a lot, because you know that you've got their, or they've got your attention. And so we're talking about the 5 love languages. I'm Wendy Batts here with Ken Miller. So the first one was words of affirmation. Second one was quality time. And number 3, I think this one's a big one too for certain people. This one's not my love language, but I love to give gifts, and it's gift giving. And so, and meaning I don't receive gifts well, but I love to give gifts. And I don't know if there's other people out there like that, especially during the holidays. When somebody gets me something, I'm like, oh my gosh, that means so much. And I love it, but I don't expect it. And I always, I don't know. It's just something about it. I would rather give than to receive. So I guess I am in that Christmas spirit, if you will, or holiday spirit. But when we're talking about gift giving, it can be things like massages. I know a big one would be, babysitting, like provide a babysitter or be a babysitter for someone to give them that quality time. So provide them with the gift of time to help someone, free up time to take care of themselves. It could also be buying them, workout clothes or brand new shoes. If you know that, your friends or your neighbors, they wear the same shoes. They may look brand new, but they've had them for 3 years because they never get them dirty. Things like that, I think, can go a very, very long way. Fitness trackers, that's another good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, it doesn't take much. Like, an example for that is I have a trainer at my facility. She loves, coffee, right? So if I'm going to be if I know she's in there and I'm on my way there and I just happen to be driving by one of our local cafes, then, I'll get her favorite drink, which is ironically enough the same as mine, right? So I'll just get 2, and it doesn't take much. And it's funny because you talk about, let's say a $4 or $5 latte. That's prices are pretty outrageous these days. But something that, financially it's not breaking the bank, but that's something that, sometimes can be like, oh gosh, man, that last time you brought me that chai latte, oh, that was so good. It's like, that was last year. Right. So sometimes these things can stick out, and that's how what someone's love language is. It's what sticks out to them. And it doesn't have to be big. I mean, when I took my last trip overseas, I brought back a little fridge magnet, and I think a lot of us have those, right? And a little $3 trinket is like, oh man, you didn't have to. I'm like, well, it wasn't that expensive, but I'm glad you appreciate it. So once they do something like that, or they acknowledge, or their level of enthusiasm reinforces that, then now okay, it doesn't take much, and they appreciate the small things. And again, these things come in varying forms when it comes to giving a gift.
I have a trainer that I work with, and she is amazing because she brings me coffees all the time when I'm at work. And she's like, listen, I know what time you got here today, and I know what your day is going to end with tonight. And she's like, you know what, maybe this is something that can kind of get you through the morning. And it really does. It means so much that, to your point, Ken, it didn't take a lot out of her because she was already going. But the thought that she even thought of me, it makes me warm and fuzzy inside. And then I return the favor, because if I know that she's been at work, or I'm getting ready to run and go grab a coffee, and I know, like you said, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It's just the fact that someone thought of you, and you didn't ask them to do that. It really can go a very, very long way. So we've talked about words of affirmation, number 1. We talked about some quality time. We talked about gift giving. So this one's a big one for me, and I don't know why, but it's acts of service. And so when we're talking about acts of service, it's somebody that, like something that you can do for someone that's their love language. It's cook a healthy meal, make healthy snacks, and bring them to me. Or how about this, Ken? Come and watch my kid and let me have an hour or 2 where I can go and work out at the gym and not be stressed that I need to get home and make that dinner. Or, oh, I got to go and do my laundry because I've got to get this ready. Or, oh, my kids' parties tomorrow, and I need to go to the store and buy this, and this because I was the sign up mom. And, I mean, you can see there's just a lot of things. And sometimes someone's saying, you know what, just take a moment for yourself. Let me do this for you. I mean, that I don't know what I would do with myself if that ever really happened. And it doesn't happen very often. Yeah. But to me, it's somebody can see kind of my cry for help at times, where it really does mean so much for someone to be able to do that. And to your point, Ken, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, it could be the time and the ability of someone taking their quality time in order to do that service, that act for me. But also, if you have the money or the means and somebody's interested in something, it could be paying for a membership. It could be paying for one session with a trainer for someone. Or if you are a trainer and you want to do something, maybe provide a session for free, because you're giving that up. So I don't know. I'm super passionate about that one, probably because I'm more of, again, the giver. Let me do this for you. I want somebody to do it for me, Ken. Do it for me.
Yeah, do it for me. Well, and that's, and in my facility, especially now, we're really hyper vigilant about cleanliness. So if I've seen one of the trainers using the equipment or one of the clients using a piece of equipment, one of the things I'll say is, hey, are you done with that? Not so much from the standpoint that I want to use that piece of equipment, but, oh, if you're done, let me wipe it down for you. I'm there already. Let me go and wipe that down. Hey, I know that you like to use this piece of equipment when you're doing this. Here, let me get that set up for you. So it does take, like all these love languages, right? You got it just takes a little bit of thought, but for the most part, if you take something off of their plate that they would usually do or have to do, if that's one less thing for them to think about, ultimately that's it. So in the facility, just getting somebody a workout towel. And that's something I'll say, hey, you look like you're working out pretty hard. Can I give you a towel? It's like, oh, hey, your water bottle is almost empty. Let me fill that up for you. So it doesn't take more than 30 seconds for some of these things, or it takes 0 seconds for me to walk by you and hand you something that I was already going to walk that direction and I already had a towel in my hand. So why not? So doesn't take much for this act of service.
No, or even, getting someone's, protein bottle, and it usually has the shaker in there, and throw in some protein powder before, like, and I know my husband, he's done that for me multiple times. He'll grab my shaker and throw in powder, and all I have to do is add water and shake it up either on my way there, or if it's a post-workout on the way home. And it's super helpful because it helps me with time. And I always say I really need more time in a day. I really wish I had time to do this. And so those little acts that he does for me, or that you can do, whether you're at the gym for someone, or if you're, meeting like your walking buddy, like little things that you can do really can go a long way, because if somebody's receptive to that and that's what they enjoy, then it's going to want to keep them coming back. And that's the big thing about fitness, is oftentimes people are a gung-ho, especially come New Year's. They're going to make life changes and all this stuff happens, and come March, it's ghost town after spring break, and everyone's kind of fallen off the wagon. And so when we're talking about these love languages, it's really important to try to figure out whether it's your buddy or your partner or your spouse, whatever it is, because if you can keep them on that path of doing something that is good for them, then it's a win-win for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Just lay it that, like, one of the things I might do for my wife is just lay out her workout clothes so she doesn't have to hunt for it. I'm getting mine ready. Her stuff's right there. Why not? So it doesn't take that much.
Yeah. Well, if I have to go somewhere in public that requires more than gym clothes, I have my husband dress me too, because he's like, are you wearing that? So, I know when it's like, hey, can you help me find something to wear? We're going to blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I got it.
So you do like a Pretty Woman session, like you're in the dressing room out, little turnaround. It's like,
yes, I definitely take him shopping with me. Yeah, like that is not good. And he is a 100% honest, like, girl, that is, take that off. That is not.
I don't like the cut of that. Okay.
Yeah, right. That fits you. That is not a good fit. Nope. It's not good for you. So we're talking about the 5 love languages. I'm Wendy Batts here with Ken Miller. So far, number 1, words of affirmation. Number 2, quality time. 3, gift giving. 4 was acts of service. And last would be physical touch. And so when we're talking about physical touch, people can take this and run with it so many different directions. However, as a trainer working with clients, or if you are going to be working with friends and spotting them and doing different things, you have to make sure that you, quote, have permission to touch. Some people do not like to be touched. And, and when I say touched, let's say you're spotting someone and you're touching their wrist or their elbows or however it is that you're spotting in any direction, and they aren't comfortable with that. then it's not a good experience, and then it ruins the rest of their workout, or ruins the rest of their whatever their time in the gym. And so it's really important, to get permission to touch, or make sure that you know your friend, your workout buddy or whatever. And if they don't like to be touched, don't do it. However, if they like to be touched, I'm not saying like rub them down or anything. I'm just saying, then giving them a pat on the back, or giving them a hug when you see them, or when you're getting ready to leave, and telling them how great it was to spend that time at the gym. It can really go a long way, because people need interaction. You can see what happened during the pandemic. People were getting depressed because they couldn't be around people, let alone give people a hug, shake their hand, anything. And that physical touch is really important.
It's huge. And, putting your hands on somebody, that's a different level. That's a different relationship. There's got to be a mutual understanding of what the boundaries are. But, if we're talking about somebody who's closer to you, like a family member or friend that you've known for years, decades, whatever it is, sometimes, a hug, how often does the word hug come up these days, right? So a little, a hug. But, if we're talking about touch and physical contact, sometimes it doesn't have to be, my hand on your shoulder or anything like that. It could be, using some kind of, a recovery tool like the Hypervolt. One of the things my wife, and this is where I know that my wife's love language is physical touch, because I'll want to sit down next to her, talk, catch up on the day, maybe watch a little TV, but then she'll throw her leg over my lap, and then she's like, "Hey, can you vault my calf?" And like, I just wanted to relax a little bit, but but I know that's her language. And what do? I'll get her calf, I'll get her hamstrings, I'll get the bottom of her feet, whatever it takes, for her to feel better at the end of the day. Because if that's what she wants, by golly, that's what she's gonna get. And if that's the way she's gonna know that I love her, I care for her, and I want her to feel the best that she can possibly feel, then that's what you can do. And from a trainer client standpoint, again, touching being something that there are boundaries for that. But if you did a Volt session, something to where they are in contact with you, at least through the Volt, then that can be appreciated as well, knowing that somebody is doing something to help them feel better immediately, especially when it comes to that.
Well, one thing I will say, a love language, happy wife, happy life. That is number one. That should be every man's motto.
I got a tattoo of that right on the back of my arm.
Because so true, so true. But too, when you're thinking about when you're working out with your friends, or let's say you're doing something with your neighbor, even stretching each other sometimes can, it's super beneficial. People don't usually stretch, and if it's partner assisted and you're both are spending time stretching, it's going to have positive benefits. But obviously, if you're going to stretch them, you have to touch them. And so you just want to make sure that they're comfortable with that. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. Some people like to grab the stretch strap and do it on their own. So the whole purpose of today, hopefully you guys can see, is people will respond differently to so many different things. It's hard, because as we went through this, I'm like, before we started, like, this is my love language, but I'm like, what? I really like it when people, like, your text message meant so much. So that's words of affirmation. So do I like that? Check. Quality time, so important. Quality being the key word, super important. Do I love that? Absolutely. Who doesn't love quality time with the ones that you love, or your friends, or being able to do something physical together outdoors is phenomenal. So I'm like, check. And then gift giving. Okay, well, I love to give gifts, but then again, you know what? If I got a massage, like, all right, check. And then acts of service, that was the one I thought. And then physical touch. I want somebody to give me a massage. I want somebody to bolt me. So I don't know. Maybe I'm all five. I don't know. So,
well, you got to remember too that in the book, according to Gary Chapman, we're basically a variation, or we have the 5 languages, but to varying degrees. So let's say, words of affirmation is your primary, but you have a second, you have a third, you have a fourth, you have a fifth. So, we are all a culmination to varying degrees of each one of these languages. So pay attention to all of them. But if you know what the number one is, that's the key one to hone in on. So,
And
that's what I remember.
Yeah, if you guys haven't read the book, again, we get nothing for this, but it's a phenomenal book. And it is phenomenal.
It's a great book.
If you're married, it's phenomenal. If you're dating, it's phenomenal. If you're actually interacting with other humans. So I strongly suggest it, because you can actually understand, people. To me, it's a really good way to build rapport, but you really start to understand people differently. And then you also can help build those relationships a lot better by understanding all 5 of these and what they mean.
Yeah, and a lot of the perspective we put out there, it's as a trainer client, and we brought up our own personal lives in here. But if you're a part, as we mentioned earlier, if you're a part of the support system, somebody who wants to change their lives and they're wanting to take on new endeavors physically, then you can, if you know someone's love language, supporting them in that way, with that words of affirmation, giving them a pat on the back, giving them a call and saying, hey, I saw you running on the road today. Great job. Keep it up. Getting them, a gift, like a running shirt, if that's what their deal is. But if you're the support system, you're that person that lives with somebody who's trying to make changes in their life, and it's going to be for their benefit, they're going to feel better, they're going to be more productive, all that good stuff. Then, if you know someone's language, communicate with them in that way. And from that vantage point, they're more likely to stick with their programming, right? When you know that somebody's in your corner there to help you out. So Wendy, with the 5 language, when we first started this podcast, I didn't think that love languages would be one of the things that we would be talking about, but it does have its application. And thank you, Wendy, for your time, expertise when it comes to communicating with clientele. So I do pick up a lot from you every time we have a chance to work with each other. So thanks, Wendy. Appreciate it.
You're amazing, Ken. I'm so glad to help you. And next time I see you, let me buy you a coffee and take some time to vault and stretching.
Yeah, keep it coming. Keep it coming. All right. So if you like this topic on the 5 languages of love in fitness, awesome. We hope you got something out of it. But if you want to hear something more, you want to hear something else regarding Random Fit, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and let us know how we can better deepen your understanding and knowledge of fitness. So until next time, take care and be well.